Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Justin and today we're taking a look at Howard Marks from Oaktree Capital, seeing what his portfolio looks like at the end of Q3 2022. So that is September 30th, 2022 to be more specific. He manages over $7 billion in his portfolio. He has over 200 positions in his portfolio. He sold out of 34 different positions entirely in the last quarter. He added 16 new positions, and that doesn't even take into consideration the stocks that he currently owned in the previous quarter that he reduced or added to. So a lot of movement going on in his portfolio this last quarter overall. And I'm also going to show you guys a new website that I just came across in the last 24 hours that is really around stock gurus and super investors. You can actually take a look at what their performance is over the last 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, and 10 years, which I have found pretty valuable. I think is pretty cool. So I'll show you that to you guys today in this video as well. If you like this video, get some value out of it, please hit that like button. It really helps out the channel a lot and this video. And let's just jump right into this thing. All right, so the first thing I want to show you guys is this new website that I just stumbled upon in the last 24 hours. I'm not an affiliate of this website at all. In fact, I never even heard of it before yesterday, but I thought it was pretty cool. And it's called Stockcircle. So curious if any of you guys have heard of this website at all. You can search stocks, different gurus. What I really found helpful is really figuring out what the performance of super investors over a specific period of time. So for example, down here, you can click on different things. You can see who's the most popular, best performers over the last year for stock gurus, growth investors, value investors, short sellers, long term. This is a free website too, so you can just go to and just mess around and play with it. But for example, if we click on Warren Buffett here, and then you can see there's 48 different stocks in his portfolio. You can see all the stocks here, which is pretty interesting. We're also going to go over and take a look at Dataroma in a second too. That's usually where I go to look this stuff up. But this one certainly is interesting because you go to the performance section and then see what has Warren Buffett done over the last 10 years. He has a 134% return. So if you would have put $100 into Berkshire Hathaway 10 years ago, you have $134.58 today. 5-year performance is 63%, 3 years 41%, and 1 year is -4%. Keep in mind the S&P I think is down around 20% year to date, so he definitely has done better than the S&P so far the last year. Now, if we go take a look at say another investor, let's just pick one randomly. Let's say like a Kathy Wood, which is from ARK Invest. She is up 64%, 10 years, up 7% over the last 5 years, but she's down 16% over the last 3 years and down 61% over the past year. If we go take a look at Howard Marks from Oaktree Capital, excuse me, and we take a look at his performance, he's up 1,060% over the last 10 years, up 38% over the last 5 years, up 44% last 3 years, then up 22% over last year. So being up at all over the last year is extremely impressive, with S&P being down as much as it is. And then being up 22% is absolutely phenomenal. And I've looked up probably 30 or 40 super investors on this website so far, and Howard Marks has the highest return that I've seen over the last 10 years. So that's really impressive. So definitely go check this out. I've not back tested any of these numbers, so I'm just going off that this is accurate. If you guys use this, you found that this is accurate, comment down below. Let us know your guys' thoughts. That'd be awesome. All right, so now let's go take a look at Dataroma. This is the website I typically go to when I look at value investors, kind of see what their portfolio is and all the different activity. Another free website, a great one to check out. And you can see as of the last quarter, he had about 257 stocks in his portfolio, about $7.3 billion. The only, I'd say, negative thing or caveat about Dataroma is these are only positions that show up in their portfolio that are in 13F filings. 13F filings are positions on the American Stock Exchange, either the NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange. So if they own stock in or on a international stock exchange, say like a European stock exchange or say like a Chinese stock exchange, it's not going to show up here. So just keep that in mind. So he probably owns a lot more than 257 positions. These are just on his 13F filings. And like I mentioned before, he had 34 different stocks that he completely sold out of during the quarter, which is a lot, obviously, and he reduced 26 positions during the quarter. So a lot of selling going on. And to be honest with you, a lot of these I've never even heard of. One thing about Howard Marks, he has a niche in a couple of things. So one is he likes to buy companies that are tailor themselves to mergers or acquisitions. So they're trying to find, you know, a company to merge with, to come public, and he has been very successful on doing that. That is not my niche. I don't understand that. It's so far from my circle of competence, but he's been very good or successful on doing that. Another thing he's been very successful too is finding companies that have gone through bankruptcy and the market just does not want anything to do with at all. But he's able to look at those special situations and say, hey, this company, you know, is going to get rid of all their debt or most of their debt. They're going to come out stronger on the other end of the bankruptcy, and they're going to do really well. And he's been very successful on doing that too. So when I see that he's bought into a stock and it's more than 5% of his portfolio right up front, that gets me very, very interested. He has done very well overall on those type of buys. But you know, I'm not going to go through each one of these sells that he had. Again, most of these I haven't even heard of, and they're just mostly companies that tailor themselves to doing acquisitions or mergers with other companies. There's some oil and gas stuff in here as well too. But you know, nothing that jumps out to me that is really interesting. Now, Chesapeake Energy, that is a large position in his portfolio, so he did reduce that a little bit, but he's had a lot of gains there. If we look at the buys in the quarter, he has 16 new companies here. You know, most of these again are companies that tailor themselves in acquisitions or mergers. Again, completely out of my circle of competence. So all these, all the way up to this one here. So this one actually was a decent sized position that he added to. Now he's up 40%, it looks like, from quarter end. I don't know exactly where he bought this, but he should be up. This is Sitio Royalty. And if we go take a look at that, it's STR. And let's see. So the stock is at $31 right now. This is a company that went public in June. So brand new company. Usually right there, I'll just kind of ignore it. I usually don't dig into those too much. Small company, $400 million market cap. So he owns a good chunk of this company because he's put a good amount of money into it, I think around $200 million, something like that. It might be more than that. We'll look at in a second here. But this is a company that operates as oil and gas mineral royalty company. The company acquires oil-weighted rights in productive and the United States basins. This is out of my circle of competence. I can tell you that right now as well too. But that was a pretty decent sized position that he bought into. So if we look at his holdings right now, so that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So number 6. So 6th biggest position, about almost 4% of his portfolio, but it's up 40% since the end of the last quarter. So it may have been like a, I don't know, 2% of his portfolio or 2.5%, but it's gone up quite a bit since the last quarter. So obviously he's done very well on that. Another thing too, I always like to look at with Howard Marks is smaller companies that he's buying into that I might have a circle of competence or might interest me. So keep in mind, his portfolio is massive, over $7 billion, over 200 stocks. But keep in mind that, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So his top 5 positions was at 10, 17, 30. So 45% of his portfolio is his top 4 positions. So I still would consider him a super investor that is concentrated. Even though he has 200 stocks, his top 4 positions are 45% of his total portfolio. Kind of similar to Warren Buffett. I mean, I think Apple's like 40% of his portfolio. 70-80% of his portfolio is in his top 4 or 5 positions. So I would consider Warren Buffett a concentrated hedge fund manager as well. But I like to look at companies that Howard Marks is buying into that are really small. Unfortunately, most of these are acquisition companies that just don't interest me because I just don't understand them. But if one does come up, like for example, he bought into Toll Brothers and AKB Home, a lot of these home builders a couple of quarters ago. That really interested me. He bought Reservoir Media, which is a really small little company as well that's in the music publishing business. He's got so many in here, it's hard to even find where it's at. I probably already passed it, or it might be down here. Oh, right here. So Reservoir Media. So it's only 0.05% of his portfolio. So companies like that all of a sudden pop up, because if you keep it, just keep in mind that even though it's only 0.05% of his portfolio, it's still putting a lot of money into that. I mean, you're talking $3.5 million, $4 million into that company. That is significant. And a lot of times these hedge fund managers don't want to put more than 10% into a company, because then all of a sudden they have to do more filings, more paperwork, which costs money. So they kind of steer away from that for the most part. But so if they're buying a small company, say it's only a $500 million company, all of a sudden if they put $51 million of money into that company, there's special requirements that they have to do. So I kind of like to look at the smaller ones, but nothing really popped up this quarter that I found, that was kind of interesting at all there. So that was his portfolio in a nutshell for, the quarter. If we look at the top, 5 positions, Torm PLC, Chesapeake Energy. Now, I think Chesapeake Energy, if I remember correctly, this is one of those companies that went through a bankruptcy that he ended up purchasing. I think he initially did 6 or 7% of his portfolio. Now it's all the way up to almost 13% of his portfolio. He's made a ton of money on this stock. Actually, let's go take a look at it. I believe this is the one. Let's see. Independent exploration and production company engages in acquisition, exploration, and development of properties for the production of oil, natural gas, blah, 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 blah. Oklahoma City is where it's founded. Yeah, so I believe this company went into bankruptcy and then emerged from the bankruptcy. And I think that was back, it looks like, in March 2021. He ended up buying into it like immediately. So he bought around $45 and it's $102 here today. So he has more than doubled his position. So again, if it's a position that he adds to his portfolio, it's over 5% right off the bat. I am extremely interested. I'm doing a ton of research on it. Unfortunately, a lot of times I don't understand it, so I stay away from it. But that gets me very interested when he does that overall. Another thing that's really interesting about Howard Marks is he does not invest into these large tech companies. So you're not seeing Google on here. You're not seeing Meta on here. You're not seeing, Netflix, Apple, Microsoft. He tends to stay away from those companies, which is also interesting. And it goes back to, the super investors that beat the market and beat the market handily really understand what they do well, and they really tailor their investing strategy around that. So obviously Howard Marks is good at looking at companies that are acquisition type companies, that are trying to merge companies or acquire companies, companies that come out of bankruptcy that maybe the market's just not looking at. Those type of things. And he's really, really, really good and has been successful doing that overall. So curious from you guys, what do you think about his portfolio at the end of Q3? What about him buying 16 new positions, selling off 34 positions? What about this big buy that he did, the Cydia royalty? Do you guys own this one? Do you know anything about it? Just kind of interested from your take on that standpoint. There's another video you want me to do on a super investor. throw it down in the comment section as well. I'm always reading those. I know a lot of you out there have talked about me or asked me to do one on Phil Town. His portfolio hasn't come out yet. The last quarter, it came out on August 25th. Today is November 27th. So I'm hoping in the next couple of days, his portfolio is going to come up and I can go do a video on that. Because I've heard from people that have taken his course that has changed considerably since the last quarter. So I'm really, really excited and interested to see what that looks like. But there's another one want me to do it on, another super investor. Drop it down in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you on the other side. Take care and God bless.